We've always said that the final Mishnah of any chapter is very often significant. We close the first chapter of Rosh HaShanah on the questions on the Sifra. Elimelech, with a drush on the verse, Elimelech Adonai Mikra Kodesh Asher Tikra'o Tam B'Moadam. The festivals have to be called in their time. And we're going to come back to the same question as we close the second chapter of the Mishnah of Rosh HaShanah. We were talking about the interrogation of the witnesses, the fact that we only need 2 witnesses in order to give evidence that the new moon has been seen. We're going to briefly interrogate all of the other witnesses so that they're motivated to keep going in the future. And then once we've done that, we can declare the month to be a new month. Rosh Bet Din Omer Mukudash. The head of the court says it is sanctified. Mukudash. V'chol ha'amonim acharav mukudash, mukudash. And all the people answer after him, sanctified, sanctified. It's a public proclamation. It's a from the Bet Din to the people. That's how you declare the new month. And if they don't have time, by the way, to announce mukudash, then it's not a new month. I mean, the day can tick over. Remember that a Jewish month can be either 29 or 30 days. The exact time is 29 and a half days. So it's either 29 or 30 days. So if it's going to be a 29-day month, on the 30th day, you have to say, this is the first day of the new month. Mukudash, mukudash. If you can't do that before sunset, you missed the chance. It's going to be a 30-day month, and the Rosh Chodesh is the following day. And the Mishnah continues, Bein sheniram bizmano, bein shelo nira bizmano, mekadshin oto. Whether the new moon is seen at its proper time. Now we're talking about being seen on the 30th day or before the 30th day. If it's seen at the proper time, to be able to call the new month on the 30th day, or not at its proper time, i.e., we're going to let the old month have 30 days and the new moon's going to be on the 31st day, we still mekadshin oto, we still sanctify it, we still declare it mekudash. And Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Tzadok, Rabbi Elazar bar Tzadok is going to disagree. Im lo nira bizmano ein mekadjin oto shekvar kitchuhu shamayim. If it's not seen at its proper time, if we don't get a crack at seeing the new moon in time to declare effectively a 29-day month, to say Rosh Chodesh is the 30th day, if we don't declare it, if we don't see the moon by that point, we don't need to declare that the following day, the 31st day, is Rosh Chodesh, because it's obvious. And a Jewish month can only be 29 or 30 days. So Rosh Chodesh has to be on the 30th or the 31st. There's no other option. Shekvar kitshuhu shamayim. Heaven has already sanctified it. There's no need to take any human action. And maybe here we have shades of a debate about the boundary between halakhic reality and physical reality. Rabbi Elazar bar Tzadok is saying, look, physical reality takes priority here. We know it's Rosh Chodesh. We know it's Rosh Chodesh because it wasn't sanctified yesterday. So there's nothing more to say about it. And the halacha goes according to Rabbi Elazar bar Tzadok. He is right. The physical reality wins out. But we'll see, it's not so easy. Let's look at Rabban Gamliel. This must be Rabban Gamliel. This must be Rabban Gamliel the younger, because he's in Yavne. He's in Yavne. Demut surot levanot hayulo Rabban Gamliel betavla bakotel ba'aliyato. Rabban Gamliel had diagrams of the moon on a tablet on the wall of his upper chamber, and he used to show them. Shebahen mare et ahediotot. He used to show a hediot. You can feel hediot is a Greek word, which is cognate with the English word idiot, but it doesn't mean someone who's stupid. It's just a hediot in the language of the Mishnah is just a regular guy, just a regular guy, a normal person. Shebehen maret a hediot tot. He used to show the normal people these pictures, and he used to say, "Ve'omer hakazeh ra'ita o chazeh." Did you see that, or did you see that? Just like the diagram of the new moon that we were looking at yesterday. So that is a new moon, and if it's flipped around the other way, it's an old moon. He probably had one of these and one of those, and he'd say, was it like that one or like that one? That's what Rabban Gamliel used to do, because to this extent at least, Rabban Gamliel is with the physical reality. But, and there's always a but in the Mishnah, it happened that two witnesses came and said, we saw it in the morning in the east and in the evening in the west. Now that's completely impossible. You actually see the new moon rising in the west in the evening. In other words, the sun is setting and the new moon is rising. That's why it's so hard to see, by the way, because it's against the sun. It's absolutely impossible to see it in the morning in the east. Amar Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri said, Edei shekerhem, they're lying. Kshibau liyavne kiblan Rabban Gamliel. But when they got to Yavne, Rabban Gamliel accepted them. Let's keep going. Ve'od, ba'u shnai ve'amru rainuhu bizmano uvelel iburo lo nira. Two other witnesses came and they said, we saw it at its proper time. Bizmano here means in time on the 29th day. We saw it on the 29th or 29th and a half day in time to declare a short month. And then uvelel iburo, when it was on the night that it was pregnant, the day for the adjective for a long month, a 30-day month, or for that matter, a long year, a 13-month year, is mu'ubar or mu'uberet. It's the same adjective as pregnant. Just let's hold on to that. Uvelel iburo, and on the night of its extension or its pregnancy, lo nira, I didn't see it. Vekiblan Rabban Gamliel, and Rabban Gamliel accepted them. Amar Rabbi Dosa ben Harkinas. Rabbi Dosa ben Harkinas said, Adei shekerhem, they're lying. Hech meidim ala isha sheyalda ulemachar kreisa ben shineha. How can you give evidence that a woman has given birth and the next day her stomach is between her teeth? It's a pun, right? It's a pun on the word mu'ubar. It's a pun on the word pregnant. It's just not possible. Amar Rabbi Yehoshua ro'eh ani et devarecha. Rabbi Yehoshua said, I can see what you're saying. Ro'eh ani has a sense, by the way, of agreeing with, like lo ra'iti tzaddik ne'ezav. I didn't agree with a tzaddik who was abandoned. Ro'eh has a sense of agreeing with. Rabbi Yehoshua is of the old school, and he believes in truth. He's a blacksmith, Rabbi Yehoshua. He's a tzaddik, right? He believes in plain old honesty. And Rabban Gamliel, Rabbi Yehoshua is a blacksmith, and he believes in truth and honesty. Rabban Gamliel is the head of the Bet Din. He's a political figure. His family have run he comes from 3 generations of leaders of the Bet Din, and there are going to be 3 generations of the leaders of the Bet Din after him. Rabban Gamliel is a politician. That's how they are different. And Rabban Gamliel probably had a very good reason for wanting the new moon to come on that day. Remember, we've said that they can calculate the new moon. And we've said that they calculate the calendar in order to make life work for the Jewish people. So there are certain days, for example, we talked yesterday about the fact you don't want Yom Kippur to fall on Friday. and you don't want it to fall on Sunday. So there are certain responsibilities that the head of the Bet Din carries, which an ordinary tzaddik like Rabbi Yoshua does not carry. So we can imagine why Rabban Gamliel might have wanted to accept their evidence. And we've talked before about how important the calendar was. The calendar is a question of, it's a bone of contention, right? With the Karaites, with the Sadducees, with the Kutim, all these guys who have different beliefs, maybe who don't accept the authority of the rabbis. If you don't accept the authority of the rabbi, you don't accept the authority of the Bet Din. So the calendar is much more than just a calendar. And we've said, we can break Shabbat to bring evidence about the calendar. The calendar is incredibly important. So let's see how Rabban Gamliel reacts. Shalach lo Rabban Gamliel. So Rabban Gamliel sends to him, to Rabbi Yoshua, Gozrani alecha shetavo etzli b'maklecha u'v'moatecha b'yom ha'kippurim shechal liot b'cheshboncha. I order you to appear before me with your staff and your money on the day which, according to your count, should be Yom Kippur. I.e., you are going to publicly accept my judgment as head of the Bet Din. You may be right on the physical reality, but I am right on halakhic reality. And for Rabbi Yoshua, who is a tzaddik and a simple guy, this is very painful. Halach umutza'o Rabbi Akiva meitzer. Rabbi Akiva went and found him in distress. Rabbi Akiva is a sort of middleman. When there's the dispute between Rabbi Yoshua and Rabbi Eliezer, the oven of Achnai, on this occasion, Rabbi Yoshua is going to win and Rabbi Eliezer is going to be excommunicated. But again, it's Rabbi Akiva who goes to the one who's been excommunicated. It's Rabbi Akiva who goes to see Rabbi Eliezer to comfort him. Rabbi Akiva is he's a person of somehow peace. He's someone who can kind of join things together. And by the way, he joins them together with drush. Rabbi Akiva is not only a man of peace, but he's a man of drush. So he goes and he finds Rabbi Yoshua in tears. Amar lo, yesh li lilmod shekol ma she'asa Rabban Gamliel asui. I can give you a drush to teach that whatever Rabban Gamliel has done is done. Shenemar eile moadei Adonai mikrai kodesh asher tikra'u otam b'moadam. Bein bizmanam, bein shelo bizmanan, ein li moadot eila elu. These are the festivals of the Lord, the holy convocations, which you shall proclaim at their appointed times. It's from Vayikra. We recite this verse, by the way, at Kiddush on Yom Tov. It's one of the most recited verses, I'd say, in the Torah, because we recite it at Kiddush on Yom Tov, and it's in the laning for Emor, which we read on the first and the second, certainly on the second day of Pesach and Sukkot, and maybe even on, well, we read it quite a few times. These are the appointed times of the Lord, which you shall proclaim at their appointed time. Asher tikra'u otam, which you shall proclaim. Whether at their proper time or not, I have no appointed season save these. In other words, the festivals result from the proclamation. The calendar calculation that we carry out is a sort of optional extra. It's useful for us to carry out the calendar calculation because we don't really know what the Bet Din is doing, but the Rambam makes clear somewhere in the land of Israel there is a Bet Din that is declaring the new moon luckily according to the same calendar that we're using. And the fact that we keep the right festivals is because they are declaring the new moon, not because we are slavishly following the calendar. The calendar is just keeping us in check, in line with that Bet Din somewhere in the land of Israel. What does Rabbi Yoshua do? He goes to see Rabbi Dosa ben Hurkanos. Balo etzel Rabbi Dosa ben Hurkanos. Amarlo, אם באים אנו לדון אחר בית דינו של רבן גמליאל, צריכים אנו לדון אחר כל בית דין ובית דין שעמד ממות Moshe ועד עכשיו. Look, if we call into question the beit din of Rabban Gamliel, we have to call into question the decisions of every single beit din since Moshe until now. And then he's going to quote a pasuk too. Vayal Moshe v'Aaron Nadav v'Avihu v'Shivim miziknei Yisrael. This is from the end of from the end of either Ki Tisa or Mishpatim. I think Ki Tisa. Moshe goes up, and Aaron and Nadav and Avihu and the 70 elders of Israel. And they're not named. The 70 elders are not named. V'lama lo nitparshu shmotan shazkenim. Why are the names of the elders not mentioned? To teach you that every group of 3 that's acted as a court over Israel, shekol shlosha ushlosha she'amdu beit din al Yisrael harehu kaveit dino shel Moshe. Every beit din has the status of the beit din of Moshe. And by the way, this is a beit din of 3. So this is not the great beit din of 71. A beit din of 3 has the same status as the beit din of Beit Dino Shel Moshe. What does Rabbi Yoshua do? Natal, he's satisfied. Natal maklo muatab yado halach liyavne etzer Rabban Gamliel. So he takes his staff and his money, goes to Yavne, to Rabban Gamliel. B'yom shechayom haKippurim liot b'cheshbono, on the day that should have been Yom HaKippur according to his account. Amad Rabban Gamliel v'unshakoa rosho. Rabban Gamliel rose up and kisses him on his head. Amar lo, bo v'shalom, come in peace. Rabbi v'talmidi, my teacher. First he says my teacher. And Rabbi Yoshua is the previous generation. First he says my teacher and then my student. Rabbi b'chokhmah, my teacher in wisdom. V'talmadi shegibalta devarai, and my student that you've accepted my words. And we still have in the Sifra is the halakhic midrash on Vayikra, and it explains if they sanctified it without witnesses, or witnesses came and testified and were going to be lying, how do we know it's sanctified? Because the text says, Asher tikru'u otam moadai. These are the feasts that you proclaim. These are my festivals. If you proclaim them, they're my festivals. If not, they're not my festivals. And the Sifra goes on. If they sanctified it on purpose or unwittingly or mistakenly, in other words, they deliberately make a mistake or they mistakenly make a mistake. It doesn't make any difference. If they proclaim the feasts, they are the right feasts. If you proclaim them, they are my festivals. And if not, they are not my festivals.